Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be talking about Galactic Legends, and in particular, we're going to be talking about how every Galactic Legend impacts your account. What role do these Galactic Legends play in the growth and development of your roster, and even to a sense, your guild? This is kind of a topic that spawned just when I was, trying to give advice to players on what each Galactic Legend does and how they can be impactful, because every time you talk about GLs, it, causes controversy. Everybody kind of starts sparring at each other and freaking out and saying, this is the order you farm them in, and this is, and this is. And so what I thought I would do is explain it in a way that this isn't necessarily the farming order, but this is the function that those characters can serve. And almost in a sense, you'll get why it could be important to farm some of them before others, because of the role that they're going to play in your account. So with that said, folks, please like and subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate everybody just, supporting me through good, bad, thick, thin, not posting content. You guys are the best. I really appreciate everything you do. Whether you are just on the council or you are a Jedi Master or Wampa, thank you guys for just, keeping the faith, doing everything you can. I'm humbled, honored, and blessed to be able to bring you content. So let's get in here and let's talk about some Galactic Legends in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Alright folks, so as I said, we're talking GLs, and we're going to be talking about the role each GL plays. So we're not talking about whether or not they're an attacker or a tank or support. That's not, we're talking how do they impact your account, what's the role that they have to you. We will even be mentioning the role that Hondo plays. However, we will be talking about what that is, kind of speculating a bit, right? So let's get in here with Galactic Legend type number 1, your foundational Galactic Legends. This is Jabba, Leia, and Jedi Master Luke. They're your foundational Galactic Legends. They are the GLs that you can build your roster up with. In my opinion, these GLs kind of hold the framework for your roster, meaning the amount of overlap they have is crazy, just alone in this Commander Luke Skywalker team. You think you need Commander Luke, you need Chewbacca, and you need C-3PO to unlock Jedi Knight Luke, who's a requirement for both Jabba the Hutt and Jedi Master Luke. C-3PO, Chewbacca, Han Solo, and 3PO and Chewie are all required for Jedi Master Luke. Jabba the Hutt requires C-3PO and Han Solo, and Leia Organa requires Commander Luke Skywalker and 3PO and Chewie. So there's a lot of overlap there inside of that team. And then again, you think about Jedi Knight Luke kind of, serving that role for 2 GLs, but even some of the characters you also would build for Jedi Knight Luke, like Rolo, Captain Han, and Lando, are all required for Leia Organa. So you end up getting to this level, to this point where you're working on so many characters that all kind of interact together, and these Galactic Legends are all really good in Conquest, PvP, PvE, whether it's TB, Galactic Challenges, Assault Battles. They unlock a lot of things for you. They help, again, build that foundation. By having these GLs, you're going to be able to build a lot of other things and still have really good rewards, which you could earn other GLs faster than maybe you would earn these 3, but your ability to compete in TB, in PvP, in other game modes would be hampered because they're not to the degree that these 3 Galactic Legends are in terms of the options that they offer you on whether it's offensive or defensive. Give me 1 second. I'm not editing this, but my dog is like freaking out. I don't know if you guys can kind of see her, like right. Oh gosh, I can't point. Where the hell is my finger at? Over here. That's weird. She's like right here. There it is. Come on, puppy. Get in. Listen, Arya is like the queen of this house. What else? My wife and I constantly say, what else can we do to serve you, to that dog? She rules the roost. Anyway, as I was saying, these are your foundational ones. These are the GLs that, hey, you can springboard from them and not have to feel like you need to build other things in order to keep your account moving forward. So that's where these guys fit in my personal opinion. The next group of Galactic Legends, I call them your supporting GLs. This is Kylo and Rey, which a lot of you guys will laugh at because they're attackers, but why are they supporting Galactic Legends? Number 1, they're serviceable with their just overall requirements, right? You get you know, JTR, Kylo Ren Unmasked, you know, they're the characters you use to build them. They're good enough with them. They each have a lifter unit that makes them significantly better in Grand Arena and outside of it. But they're actually dark side and light side galactic legends. They can be a home for those other dark side units you have, whether it's in other game modes to, you know, complete conquest feats or, you know, territory battles. And when you're getting to the later stages of planets and you have some extra relic 7s, those 2 GLs actually can be like support your roster's growth. That by building them, you can kind of put those other characters with them and still do really well. One of the great examples I like to use with Rey, if I was to kind of make a squad here just for the sake of argument, hey, I'm going to create a new squad. So if I use Rey, I was literally winning battles on Kessel with this team right here. I had, you know, where's a ARC Trooper there, and even, and again, I'm going to throw, like this right here is very capable of going 2 out of 2 on Kessel, right? Like this right here is very capable of going 2 out of 2. You know, like what Rey is able to do is take these characters and, you know, I'm combining them and stuff, but she can take them and do really good things. You know, with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, I have used him with, you know, random characters at times in order to, you know, really do well. He doesn't just need to be with full First Order. You can actually use him with like full UFUs. I was doing this where I had, you know, him, Malicos, Hugh, and you. I was able to use this for a long time. They're those galactic legends that by building them, you've got good teams. They get significantly better with the right stuff, but they can be a home for these other characters that you're going to build that will later support your growth down the line. Think about Ezra Exile, Commander Tano. Both of those characters have purposes in other Galactic Legend teams, but they're so good with Rey, they're worth building early, and so you can almost facilitate some of that late game growth early if you had someone like Rey. And with, you know, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, very similar situation. You can kind of support some of that long-term growth of, all right, I'm going to invest a bit more in my Malicos team. I've got a way to use some of those random Inquisitors that I invested in to get Reva and still have a home for them when necessary, right? So that's why I kind of call them your supporting GLs, because they really are that light side, dark side galactic legend. They have teams. Rey doesn't really have a team. Kylo definitely has a specific team that he does like with the First Order, but, you know, they are still pretty flexible. Next, you have Lord Vader and Kenobi that I call your transformative galactic legends. These two have very specific teams. Even with Lord Vader, if you're not going to use the dark side clones, you still have that kind of specific, all right, I need Royal Guard, I need to have Maul, and then from there, you might have a little bit of flexibility between Thrawn, Ninth Sister, you know, I've seen Piet in there, Darth Vader, you know, but there's a lot, especially with Lord Vader, there's a lot less characters you can use to the fullest extent. And with Jedi Master Kenobi, I mean, it's pretty darn specific, right? You know, you're going to be using this team right here 99% of the time. So these guys are transformative galactic legends because they open up a lot of doors. Even Lord Vader, for a lot of people, with those, with his Maul team, as much as people love to say, oh, I'm just going to use my bounty hunters against that, that did not have as good of a success rate as many people thought it did. It takes modding, it took skill, it took understanding. You know, similar situation with, Bo-Katan Mandalore, a much more consistent counter, but how many of you in that, 7-8 million range have Bo-Katan Mandalore? You know, because that's where, again, he's a transformative GL. They can make your opponent's life a living hell. With Kenobi, for the longest time, he did not have a non-galactic legend counter. And his non-galactic legend counters are not the most accessible teams in the game. So they're two of these GLs that really raise the roof of what you're capable of doing, without an obscene investment like some other galactic legends that we're going to get to in a second. With the clones, Lord Vader gets raised to some levels that otherwise he was not at before. Offensively, a significantly better team, especially in 5v5. That, you know, this really does ramp up, but very much want to point out and make the case, make the argument that these two really do transform your account, right? And then finally, you know, I shouldn't say finally, you know, last but not least of like your, you know, other tier is Bane's Lifter unit. Listen, I love to crap on Sith Eternal, and I will continue to do it just because I think it's fun. Listen, Sith Eternal is Bane's Lifter unit. Bane is better than Sith Eternal. Listen, you kind of need, you know, Darth Bane for PvP. Sith Eternal is a Galactic Legend who I've always said for a long time, you back into him. At this point in the game, he just does not offer enough extra stuff that these other GLs do. Sith Eternal can be very solid in certain PvP PvE situations. PvP, a little bit more of a struggle, if I'm honest. He doesn't quite do as much, but in player versus environment game modes, you know, Sith Eternal can definitely do some good stuff. But unfortunately for me, I couldn't put him in any of the rest of them because I don't think he really changes a lot of what you can do. Not comparative to every other Galactic Legend we've kind of put on this list. He really only wants Sith, and, you know, it's just I really think this is the one GL kit that unfortunately has lost the most. I think to make, like, all they have to do to make Sith Eternal better, I'm going to be perfectly honest. All you need to do to make this guy better is give him that thing that Darth Revan has where enemies can't assist or attack again if their attack is targeting Darth Revan. That's all they need to do to Sith Eternal, and all of a sudden he would get significantly better than he is, because then you couldn't just zerg him down. A big problem with Sith Eternal, you know, you need all these guys to take all the hits so he can hit his ultimate, and then he still might not get his ultimate off because he's just going to get massacred. So kind of got him where I think he fits. He's Bane's Lifter unit. You're going to need him in PvP, but he is not going to do the things that these other Galactic Legends do for you in, you know, in comparison, right? Not that he isn't a Galactic Legend, not that he isn't still a good team. He's just not to the level everybody else is. And then you have the just wait tier, right? This is your just wait tier. You've got Ahsoka, we've got Hondo. Look, they need their lifter units #1. Right, I'm calling it now that Hondo's going to need his lifter unit. But I think for me, this is just the Galactic Legend tier where the cost is so crazy. You think 3 Relic 9s, 2 Relic 8s for Ahsoka. We're already on 3 Relic 9s and a Relic 8 for Hondo, with 4 characters still to go. I just really think that this is a tough ask for a lot of the player base. This is where I would be telling you, wait on them. Get the other Galactic Legends first. Not that Ahsoka, not that Hondo aren't going to be good. Hondo's even going to have Smuggler's Run 3, but I think for most of you, the cost to get there will be too high, will be too much. So I personally think this is kind of a wait. Maybe see what the data is showing, how ridiculously good is Hondo going to be, which maybe he's not, maybe he is. But even then, I don't know that a lot of players are, one, going to be running into him enough, and 2, you have the other Galactic Legends. You know, you might not need Hondo to the extent that you think to do territory battles, to do territory wars, because again, if your opponent doesn't have them, it's not as big of a problem. But I think because of the whole lifter situation, those are 2 GLs where we've got to kind of really wait for them, which you could make a very good case for Jedi Master Kenobi and Lord Vader to fit here. Problem being, they're not nearly as expensive as Ahsoka and Hondo, and so I separated them out, because these 2 definitely are going to be good Galactic Legends. I think Ahsoka does get a little bit of a short end of the stick with me and others in the community. She's a solid enough Galactic Legend. She can pose a lot of problems for people. Just for the cost, she doesn't feel as worth it as some of the other ones do. So that's the end of the video, folks. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.